You may not have heard of the Mitsubishi Outlander Plug-In Hybrid. It recently won a very big competition. Should it have? Let's find out. After 40 years in the US, Mitsubishi's lineup remains fairly lean. Vehicles like the bare-bones Mirage, the larger Eclipse Cross, and the crossover that Opus the Penguin might drive if he could reach the pedals, the Outlander. Especially this one, since it's the more environmentally friendly plug-in hybrid. All the better to keep the polar ice from melting away. You know the plug-in hybrid concept, right? Charge it up, and this has an EPA-rated all-electric range of 38 miles or 61 kilometers. Once the battery is spent, it seamlessly switches to gas. Oh, and it seats up to 7. Kind of. Assuming they're charged up on a regular basis, plug-in hybrids have some distinct advantages over pure EVs. If you travel a lot and there isn't reliable charging infrastructure on the routes that you take most often, this is electric power when you want it, gas when you need it. You've got 2 power sources you can switch between. And if you can't easily install level 2 charging where you live, these will juice up easily on standard 120 current because you don't need a full battery. The gas engine always has your back. But that's also the disadvantage. There's maintenance to be done on the 4-cylinder, stuff like oil changes. A reminder, there's a gas-only Outlander, largely based on the Nissan Rogue. Odd that Nissan doesn't offer the PHEV powertrain in the US. The plug-in's base price is around $41,200 with destination. It comes from Japan, so no federal tax credit. That's around 10 grand more than the petrol-powered Outlander if you can swing the premium. This top-trim SEL Touring, fully optioned, MSRP is for nearly 51 grand with the $2,700 premium package. That adds upgraded semi-aniline leather seats with massage for driver and passenger, a heated wheel, a punchy Bose audio upgrade, and a better view of the sky. Here's what makes it go. The gas side is a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder, which is different than the one in the ICE Outlander model. In total, there's 248 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. The 2 front motors, one turns the wheels, the other is mostly for power recuperation, act as a continuously variable automatic transmission. Outlander plug-in hybrid is strictly all-wheel drive, or super all-wheel control in Mitsubishi speak. I was able to try it out at a very sloppy Mudfest, the SUV of the Year contest put on by the Northwest Automotive Press Association. Representative Jeremy Barnes rode shotgun with me. And the wheels in the back are driven how?
The rear drive is 100% electric. There is no mechanical connection between the rear drive system and the ICE, the internal combustion engine, and the front electric motor. The rear electric motor is larger than the front, and that is by design because we want to actually drive the vehicle forwards in a performance situation. You can actually overdrive that rear, which gives you that sort of oversteer situation. So pick up a little speed, chuck it around a little bit, and feel the way it actually does.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more than maybe you would have thought it would have done.
Yeah.
And that's by design. That's entirely the way we intended the system to operate.
The Outlander did not take the more extreme course, but it waltzed around the standard off-road section without any problems whatsoever. It was very poised, and I really don't see owners taking it on anything tougher than this. There was a buzz about this vehicle during the entire event. Ultimately, it grabbed the 3-row family SUV title, plus the grand prize of Northwest Outdoor Vehicle of the Year, a first for an electrified sport ute. It was a surprise to some, but not all of the riders on hand. Back to the powertrain, like most hybrids and plug-ins, there's generally little to no sound when firing up. Nissan Rogue owners will recognize the cluster graphics and the nubby drive selector. Recuperation drag is dialed in or added using these. The floor-mounted lithium-ion battery pack is 20 kilowatt hours. The innovative pedal allows for near one-pedal driving. I'll get to that later. It can be forced into EV mode, or battery power can be saved for later. The engine can even charge the pack, which is not efficient. There are drive modes that help adjust the electronics to the terrain drivers want to cross. I can tell you from my experience at Mudfest that this works well. There's even a heads-up display on the SEL Touring. Nice. Charging? It should take 6.5 hours using home level 2, 16 hours for 120, and it can be DC fast charged. You'll be fighting Nissan Leafs for CHAdeMO terminals? That's a dying technology. An 80% charge takes just under 40 minutes, so fast charge is relative. Remember, the gas engine eliminates range anxiety. In pure EV mode, Outlander is pretty zippy. Technical jargon. Driving on battery power alone is pretty satisfying. You know, electric motors, low-end torque and all. Now, even if you're in pure EV mode and you mash the throttle, it will fire up the gas engine because essentially you've asked for it. It's really easy to tell. There's kind of a click at the bottom of the pedal travel. The plug-in costs a lot more than the gas Outlander. For that extra cash, the PHEV offers extra oomph. At just under 7 seconds for this 4,600-pound machine to hit 60 miles an hour, it's around 2 seconds quicker to the benchmark. Over the course of 4 charges, I averaged closer to 34 miles with temperatures in the low 70s. If you live in Duluth, Minnesota, you'll see less EV range in January, but then again, the gas engine means you'll never be stranded. This being a plug-in hybrid, fuel economy is kind of what you make it. Now, if you never juice up, which would be kind of stupid, the EPA says that this gets 26 miles per gallon. Now, if you do charge every night and say it only gets 30 miles on a charge, annually you're looking at 10,500 miles of electric driving. And that's figuring in that you forget to charge like 2 weeks out of the year because, you know, that happens. Leaving the drive mode in normal is the no-brainer way to operate the Outlander. Once the pack is depleted, the vehicle operates like a regular hybrid, and the dynamic is pretty smooth. The gas engine isn't intrusive, unless you floor the go pedal. There are no performance tones, but Outlander still makes sounds under 20 miles an hour. You're going to hear the pedestrian warning tone faintly. Over that, there is some whine from the motors. It almost sounds like turbo whistle. And, you know, normally that would bother me, but, you know, I kind of feel glad that I can hear that frequency still. If you plan on towing, the Outlander Plug-In Hybrid can tug up to 1,500 pounds. In max recuperation mode or using the innovation pedal, this has fairly aggressive regeneration, but it won't come to a complete stop on its own. You do have to use the brake pedal. Pedal feel a little bit on the soft side. Here's the thing, this is always using the physical brakes to some degree. That keeps the braking experience consistent no matter what mode you're in, EV, gas, or a hybrid. Actually, it kind of makes sense. This might bother drivers that want their brake pads to last forever. I know I'm trying to do that with my plug-in hybrid. There's consolation in the ride quality, though. Outlander's suspension is tuned for comfort. It soaks up bumps nicely. If you stop suddenly or you chuck it hard into a corner, you're going to feel body movements. But this dynamic would be fun on a dirt road. I know this because we were chucking this around at Mudfest and it was kind of a blast. There's a lot of Rogue in the Outlander's cabin. That's not a bad thing, especially in the top SEL Touring model. Stitching gives it a richer look. These feel like they're filled with memory foam. Not all materials are premium. No one will confuse this with real carbon fiber. The knurling is a bit baroque, and some of the graphics are kind of gimmicky. I'm not sure if Mitsubishi uses the same zero-gravity seats as Nissan, but to a person, everyone that parked their keister in these heated chairs found them supremely comfortable. The bolstering might be a bit much for large folks. A bird's eye camera view is always good to have, especially off-road. There are a lot of cargo slots carved out inside this space, a place for everything and everything in its place. The center console has room for my lunch. Tuna. The glove box is standard size. This is a pretty thick owner's manual. Again, there's a lot of Nissan in the user interface, meaning it's rudimentary. Though it can be configured, that's easy to do. I figured it out without looking it up in the manual. Touch response is decent too. Fortunately, not everything is done on the screen. There are hard controls for things that drivers need to get to quickly. Higher models get a phone charge pad and wireless Apple CarPlay. Android Auto integration requires a cord. I mentioned that Outlander seats 7. Technically, this is about the same size as a CR-V, RAV4, Sportage, or Tucson, so row 3 is pretty much for emergencies. It works for preschoolers, not high schoolers. There's some optimistic creature comforts, too. I'm curious how you fit in that tiny third row. I have my dignity. That space is for kids, right? We're both 5'9". I'm focusing on the middle row. Headroom? I've got just enough. It's a little bit on the tight side. Knee, leg, and foot room is generous, though. My big issue is with the cushions. They're shaped in a way that when you lean back, you kind of slouch. I mean, I know I do that, but I don't need encouragement. The door openings are moderate in size. Smaller car seats will go in and out no problem. Big ones, they might be a little bit of an issue. The door pockets have lots of room in them, and these are missing from some luxury vehicles. You know how I feel about pockets on the seat backs. This is amazing, not just down here, but check these out. Really super handy. There's a separate climate zone back here, heated seats on the outboard positions. You can charge anything back here, just as long as you bring your cords. The floor is pretty flat, only a small bump here. This bench, not overly wide. It's a classic case of comfort for 3 kids or 2 full-sized adults. And remember, this seat is adjustable, so you can max out legroom or cargo room or show those pitiful souls in row 3 a little bit of love. While Outlander uses a lot of Nissan hardware, the exterior designs are as different as Hobbs the Tiger and Bill the Cat. Good on Mitsubishi for giving it unique lines. It's the best looking vehicle it brings stateside. I would like to talk to the jeweler though. These are as big as wrestling belt buckles. There's a lot of Land Rover going on here and an acre of shiny stuff. Very shiny. Hard to keep myself out of the shot. I see the silhouette to be interesting as a whole, just kind of cluttered. This one in white diamond paint gets the black roof treatment. No doubt about it, that third row will come in handy, especially in emergencies, but on an everyday basis, it does take up space. This is the travel charge cord. It comes with the vehicle. Now think about it, this is all space that could be used, but now can't be used. To tell you the truth, I'm a little surprised that once the back row is hiked up, there's still some room left to stash things away. It's not a lot, but think of these 2 bundles of TP representing a couple carry-on suitcases. There are much larger SUVs that don't do much better. But I really feel the way back isn't going to be used much. Most of the time this seat will be dropped, and I don't see room for a spare tire in here. Remote releases? Yes, please. With all the seats down, there's a reasonable 64.7 cubic feet of cargo space. Not only is the floor pretty much flat, the seats get a 40-20-40 split. Some premium vehicles don't get that luxury. I always do the TP trunk test with the middle row usable. It measures out to be about 31 cubic feet, or in terms of the 2-ply, that's 9 packs, about the same as a Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4. Seems like it's time to head into the red light, green light wrap-up. Green light. Plug-in hybrids are a great way to go electric while keeping the convenience of gas for long trips. My experience is the all-wheel drive system is remarkably good at adapting to terrain, whether it's asphalt or mud and ruts. I love the seats. In fact, so does everyone that sits in them. The plug-in powertrain gives the Outlander more pep, and it's very smooth. Yellow lights. Plug-in hybrids offer flexibility, but there's a petrol engine to maintain. The system saves money on gas, but only if you plug the car in regularly. Comfortable and sure-footed, check for a high-pitched tone on your test drive. Red lights. Being environmentally responsible in the Outlander is a $10,000 step up in price. The handy just-in-case third row that cannibalizes storage is only for small kids. It's 2023. Why is there a CHAdeMO fast charge port on this car? Want to keep the brood safe? Outlander Plug-In Hybrid is now an IIHS top safety pick. Understand that different trim levels get various amounts of safety tech. The semi-autonomous My Pilot Assist system in the SEL Touring seems to be rebranded Nissan Pro Pilot Assist tech, which is pretty good, though not quite up to Highway Driving Assist 2 found on Hyundai and Kia vehicles. Outlander Plug-In Hybrid is worth a test drive, but don't forget, there is competition. Tucson, Sportage, RAV4, those are also available as plug-ins, and these aren't cheap. So get out there, do your homework. You may have to hunt for a Mitsu dealership to test drive one. Its dealer network is smaller than Hyundai, Kia, and Toyota. Outlander Plug-In Hybrid is the best vehicle Mitsubishi offers in the US. It can get the family to the good hiking trails comfortably and efficiently. So you know, Ford offers a plug-in hybrid Escape, but it's strictly front-wheel drive. Now, I've said this before, but here goes again. Plug-ins can really work if they're plugged in on a regular basis. I own 2 of them. My wife and I typically only buy a few tanks of gas a year since our daily travels are powered by electricity. There's no one solution for every buyer. Research and buy the vehicle that works for you. Once again, special thanks to Martin Campbell for driving so I can shoot running footage. What do you think of this vehicle?
Nice, comfortable.
Yes, it is very comfortable. Cleaned up at Mudfest. No pun intended. It was super sloppy at this year's competition. Truly a Mudfest. Great for testing purposes. I had such a glamorous job. Not so hot for staying dry. Before I go, and this has nothing to do with cars, I mentioned the strip Outland. That came after Bloom County, and that's a bit of an Easter egg because I actually got to work with Berkeley Breathitt. Yeah, he used to live in the Seattle area, and he had just written a Christmas book called Red Ryder Came Calling, and I helped him with a video to promote that. And I learned a lot. For one thing, the guy's a genius. You have to be to work at that level. And second of all, he works really, really hard. So, Berkeley, if you're watching, keep up the great work. It was fun working with you. And Bill Watterson, if you happen to be watching and you like cars and you want to talk, give me a shout, okay? I owe you at least a couple hours for all the time that I spent reading Calvin and Hobbes. Awesome. Great stuff. Everybody loves Calvin and Hobbes, right? Right. Oh, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel, click notifications. If you have a question, you can ask it on social media or just leave it in the comments. I'll try to get back to you. There's a lot of people asking questions. But Berkeley, Bill, you're a priority, okay? That's Driven. I'm Tom Volk.